Anarcho tyranny. Anarcho tyranny is the phrase that describes a system of government that fails to enforce or educate protection to its citizens while simultaneously persecuting the innocent. It's a narco-terrorism or narco-tyranny. God summed it up in Proverbs 17:15 when he said this: "He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the righteous are both alike an abomination to the Lord." He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the righteous are both alike an abomination to the Lord. This past week, for the first time, an American president was convicted of felonies after he got out of office. Everybody and their dog knows that thing was rigged. You would have to be a special kind of stupid not to know that that man was set up. Brothers and sisters, we now have to confront the fact that we live in an anarcho-tyranny. We're seeing the justice system used to persecute political opponents. This is just one case in multiple cases where those who are innocent have been convicted of crimes for political reasons. We live in an unrighteous, wicked, anarcho-tyranny as we sit here today. We don't see justice done in the court system. We see the criminals released. We see the innocent convicted. But as we said, we see the courts used to persecute political opponents. Now we have to ask the question, how do we cope in the middle of a anarcho-tyranny that we're living in at the moment? Something we have to give serious consideration to. Because we don't know how things are going to change in this country. They may get much worse. We have to ask ourselves how we act and how we live in a situation like this. Well, when I was a kid, they gave me a box with all kinds of little cardboard pieces in it with a picture on it. Jigsaw puzzle. I can't remember what age it was, but the minute they gave me one, I started to get frustrated with it. My solution to jigsaw puzzles was to start biting pieces off the end and forcing them together. Now the only problem with that is you could get a rectangle out of that, but you cannot get the right picture out of that. If you're going to do a jigsaw puzzle, from what I understand, is you have to get the picture on the box, you got to get your pieces together, and you have to line out the outline, and then you have to build in around it till that matches the big picture on the box. Now, in the midst of a tyranny that we're living at the moment, we have to step back from it, and we have to look at the big picture. The big picture of life. If we don't step back at the moment and look at the big picture of what life is about, we're going to find ourselves in all kinds of trouble and a place of hurt. We have to step back from the situation we're in, this tyranny, and we must step back and look at the big picture of life. And the big picture of life is God working in this world and His great plan to exalt Jesus Christ. That's the big picture. And we must always keep the big picture of life in mind as we move forward. When the world's falling apart around us, we as men can forget the big picture and the one central focus of that big picture of this life that is God. We cannot We cannot take God out of the equation as we look at the situation in this country. Men will do that. We have to be careful that we don't. And we have to ask ourselves the question, a quite simple question: what is God doing in this? Someone says, well, you can't know. Of course you can know. We've got 66 books of knowing what God is doing in this situation. He hasn't left us in the dark. We sing a song, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." The song's not I'm just wandering around in the darkness, not knowing what's going on in life. God has given us His Word so we can know what He's doing. And His Word teaches us this, that God is carrying out His great, universal, eternal plan of salvation and redemption of mankind as we stand here today at this time in history. God is carrying out His plan of redemption. God is, and we know He's doing it, exalting Jesus Christ. He's defeating His enemies. He's putting them under His feet. That's what God's doing. And all of this is to rescue men that are lost in the darkness and to bless those who have been brought into the light through Christ, to bless us. God is exalting Christ and He's blessing us. Regardless of what the state of this country is, we are being blessed by God. And God's doing other things. Listen to this. Psalm 2. Why do the nations rage and the people plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against His anointed, saying, let us break their bonds in pieces and cast away their cords from us. He who sits in heaven laughs. The Lord shall hold them in derision. What is God doing? Psalm 37:13. He laughs at the wicked. And He's laughing now. With all of the plots and all of the plans and all of the schemes of the wicked in this country, God is laughing at them. And why is that? Because the Almighty has plans for the wicked. Their time is short. He will bring them down in ruins. He is full of wrath. And He's going to pour that wrath out upon the wicked. Not only at the judgment. The judgment's coming. The great day when the sheep are separated from the goats. Oh no. He has them under His wrath now. So He laughs at them. As they plot and plan, He prepares for their destruction. And what else is God doing? Romans 8:28, that we know that in all things work together for the good of those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. What's He doing here? He's working out everything for our good. In the situation that we're in with this government at the moment, it's working for our good. You mean even in the midst of tyranny? Yes, He works out everything. Not some things, not most things, not the majority of things. All things are working for our good, even in the midst of this. Someone says, well, I just don't know how this can work for our good. Listen, I don't know how a car works, but I still drive one every day. You do not need to know how this is working for our good, but it is, because God says so. And God is faithful and trustworthy. And He's working out His great plan for our good. So we know what God is doing. Now the question is, what should we be doing? Now let's start with what we shouldn't be doing. In Psalm 37 that we had read today by Mike, verse 1 and verse 7 and verse 8, he says the same thing 3 times. He says this, don't fret. Do not be fretting. Do not be worrying. Do not be anxious. Do not fret. The Hebrew word here means, fret means to burn, to be kindled, to be inflamed, to get angry within yourself, to get heated. It's speaking about glowing or growing warm, blazing up within yourself with anger and zeal or jealousy, and it's also connected to worry. So what he's saying here is, don't set yourself on fire because of what your enemies are doing. I can't think of any reason to set myself on fire. Now, it was minus 50 in the winter. It was cold. But I wasn't thinking, I'll set myself on fire to warm up here. Listen, we're warned 3 times here. Do not fret. Do not get angry. Do not blaze up. Don't set yourself on fire because of what your enemies are doing. So we're going to avoid that. We're not to fret and worry because the big picture is Christ risen from the dead and ruling over all. God's not freaking out in this situation, so neither are we. He's not worried about what's going on, so neither are we. God is not bent out of shape. He's not fretting. He's not afraid. He has it all in hand, and neither will we do any of those things. Psalm 37, he says this in verse 3. There's a list of things for us to do in the middle of the tyranny we're in at the minute. Trust in the Lord. Verse 3, do good. Verse 4, feed on His faithfulness, not on the media. Don't have an endless meal of the media. Feed on the faithfulness of God. Psalm 37, 4. 37:7 says this, rest in the Lord. We're not to fret because we need to go to bed at night and sleep and not have this nonsense running through our minds. So brothers and sisters, rest in the Lord. And in 7, wait patiently for Him. In all of this, the psalm speaks of being confident, to be at peace, and to serve the Lord. Now is not the time to be worried. Now is not the time to fret. Now is not the time to be terrified. Now is the time to wait on the Lord and go and do the work of the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what we're called to. And that's what we're going to do. I moved to New England in around 2000. It's a while back now. When I arrived there, I don't know how long the Patriots, I don't know the last time the Patriots had won a Super Bowl. When I arrived, they competed in 9 Super Bowls from 2000 to 2019. They made 9 appearances. They won 6 of them. The other 3 were really close. I left New England about 2019, and now the franchise has gone over the cliff. Bill Belichick was held to be the one of the top coaches in the nation, and now he can't find a job. Now I'm starting to wonder if maybe there's a connection between me being up there and me leaving. The Sox also, when I was up there, broke the curse. That arrived after I arrived. Now they're failing too. I'm thinking I maybe should call the Patriots and say, hey, you want to transfer me back up there again? Belichick is an interesting guy, though. He had a philosophy for his team when they were winning. And his philosophy was this, is that every player was to do your job. That's what they were called to do. And when they did it, they won. In the midst of this Anarcho tyranny that we're in, we're not to fret. We're not to worry. We're not to terrified. We're to go to bed and sleep at night and get up in the morning and do our job for Christ. Do your job. Don't get distracted. Let us persevere in this work of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and let God be God. Let Him rule over the nations, and realize it's not our job to save the republic. If God, that is Christ's job. He rules the nations. It's our job to go and tell the nations that He's the ruler, that they need to repent, they need to be baptized, they need to become disciples, and they need to get ready for this judgment that's coming. And we need to do this together, corporately. We're a body. We're the people of God. You've been given a gift. I've got a gift. They're different gifts, but you have a job to do on the team, so do your job in the middle of this. But isn't it really bad, someone said? Listen, this is nothing compared to what we have faced as Christians in history. The Roman Empire tried to destroy us 10 times over a period of 300 years. They're gone. They failed. We're still here. Someone says, well, if we could only have a revival in this country. Listen, we are the revival. We are. Don't pray for revival, because you are the revival. Pray that workers might go out into the field and reap the harvest, because the fields are white. We need to realize that under Roman persecution, we never had it better. We never grew more. It's fertile soil now. The lights have come on for so many people in this country and in this community and all around you, wherever you might be. The soil is fertile. Plant the seed of the gospel now. We're going to do it together. And it doesn't matter what the harvest looks like. It will come. It will come. It came to the early church under the Roman Empire as they tried to destroy them, and it will come for us now. I want to wrap this up. We live in anarcho tyranny. That's what we live in. It's anarchy, and it's organized by tyrants. But we must not forget the big picture. Never leave God out of the equation. God is doing His great work of exalting Christ. He's blessing us, even in the middle of this. And He's crushing and bringing His enemies down. What we're not to do is we're not to fret. Don't set your life on fire because of what your enemies are doing. Don't be worried. Do your job, and we will succeed. And our job, as we said, is not to save this republic, but to preach this gospel of Christ together and save humanity. We want the revival, well, we're it. And lastly, and this might be most important, don't forget to laugh at them. Don't forget to laugh at what's going on. You know why? Because God's laughing, and we're going to laugh with Him.